Hi, my name's Rhonda. I'm not usually somebody who films makeup videos, so this is my very first. And the reason that I'm doing it is because as a singer, I needed to learn about stage makeup. And I'll tell you a little bit about my story. But essentially, there was a need, and I went onto YouTube and found some people and I learned a bit about it. The other reason is that I actually have an affiliate link with Mellow Cosmetics. Now, I'm sort of saying that because it's very exciting to have an affiliate code link, not a code, with any brand, and Mellow's kind of cool. So I wanted to showcase a couple of their items today, and they're really, really nice. I didn't get them for free. They were a 30% off offer, and I paid for them myself. And as I say, the first time I used them, I wasn't actually that happy with the powder palette because I put it over a foundation that made my skin really dry and it sort of clung a little bit and went a bit patchy. But having put it over a foundation that I like a little bit more, I'm really happy with it and I think it looks really nice. So there's a highlighter on the palette as well. So I've used that to highlight today, and I actually used the palette to do my eyes too. So if you're interested in that, then just hang around and the video will follow on. Thank you. Right, so what I'm going to do is grab some primer. I'm going to use the Gulan, the Goldie primer thingy. As you can see, I've been watching too much of Chatty because this was her favourite for a long time. And I'm just going to take one pump on my hand, which you actually can't see. Where is it? And just put that on the areas that I feel droop a bit under the eyes. I tend to treat it more like a moisturiser, less pressing action, more just cover the skin. And I've found that that works for me, but might not necessarily work for other people. So while we let that sit there for a minute, it needs to sit for a couple of minutes. We might actually prime the eyes. So I'm just using the mirror on my little Hourglass palette, the one from last year. I haven't got the one from this year yet because I don't know, but I will get it, assuming it doesn't sell out before I get around to it. At the moment I'm using a monitor as a mirror, which is why it looks a bit strange. And I'm just going to smooth that out with a very cheap foundation brush that I really like for doing this and nothing else. Alright, now because I wanted to showcase a couple of items, just because I actually have an affiliate code with an affiliate link with Mellow Cosmetics, and when I first looked at this palette, to be fair, I didn't really like it. I was wearing a foundation that dried my skin out and it made it look crepey, but when I actually went and looked at it with the It Cosmetics CC cream, because my skin is really dry, I really liked it. So what I'm going to do is show you the palette. So that's it, and it's got a number of colours in there. So we've got a bronzer, a blush and two highlighters, and I'm actually going to use the bronzer to form a base for my eye makeup. So the mirror's not too bad. I have hair on my nose. So smooth down the primer, and just so that you're aware, I used the, like everybody else on the internet, use the P. Louise base to prime. So I'm going to grab some more of that bronzer, drop it on my top. Okay, good. And just pop it into the crease. So I'm hoping that this will give me enough to do an eye look. and pop a little bit of the bronzer on the edge and just blend it through, and it's blended through quite nicely actually, like remarkably nicely for a product that isn't really meant for the eyes. So the other eye, now I know that all the beauty gurus say round in circles, doesn't always work, but I think that's because I'm unco. So I got into makeup because I needed it for singing. So my Facebook page, which is actually doing okay now, it has 23,000 followers I think, so it's growing. Given that all it is me singing really random songs, I'm quite happy with that. But as I say, my friends at work just bailed me up one day and said, learn to blend your eyeshadow. Which, in hindsight, looking back at those videos, is a perfectly reasonable thing to suggest. So just blending that into the crease, a little bit more on the other side. Now what I thought I'd do, because I'm not using an eyeshadow palette, is to use a little bit of the pink. Not exactly to deepen up the edges, but just to add a little bit more dimension. So here, and bring that halfway across the lid. And that's actually quite nice. I mean, it is obvious that I'm using a face palette for my eyes, but apart from that, so makeup and singing. I now obviously know what a primer is and what primers are intended to do. So I worked for the past 12 months, really worked on learning a little bit about makeup, how to do makeup, what blending means. Didn't necessarily do so well with blending. So that was the 228, the Luxe Crease Brush, which is my favourite from Zoeva. Now I'm going to take a flat brush, it's just a Revlon flat synthetic brush, and dip into one of the highlighters. So I'm actually going to go into this one, which is a little bit more pinky, and pop that on my eye and see how we go. Oh, it's not bad. And over the pink it's quite nice. Just bear in mind this is a highlighter, not an eyeshadow. But this palette's working really nicely. So yeah, so I ended up trying to learn a lot about makeup. And buying a lot of makeup very suddenly that maybe in hindsight I didn't need, but I thought I needed it to try it out and just to see. So things like contouring, I had no idea about. It wasn't a thing. Like when I learned how to do stage makeup, it just wasn't a thing. And as I understand it, it's a relatively recent sort of thing anyway. So I'm overdoing the eyes because I actually like the shimmer. I suppose I could use my finger. But I'm going to use a little bit more of the darker powder just on the edge to try and deepen it up a bit. And a little bit bit more of the pink just over the shimmer, just to give it a little bit more colour in the centre. Then I'm going to grab some more of the highlight and just really concentrate on that inner corner. Yeah, so I'm not an artist. I'm not a makeup artist particularly, but I'm really not an artist. When I was at high school, I had an assignment that I needed to do to draw a pair of sunglasses, and the comment that came back was that I really should have tried, and I'd spend hours and hours and hours on it. So like, I'm really not an artist. I'm terrible at it. We only had one art project that I was even remotely okay at, and that was a stained glass window. And that was mainly just because it was almost hypnotic. One of those things that I think people who are either slightly autistic or completely autistic, I've never been staged, but I'm definitely well and truly autistic, which we didn't pick up until my son was diagnosed earlier last year, and there is a genetic component, so we had to have a look and see, well, who else might be? And then sort of realised I had hyperlexia, I had all sorts of sensory issues, had all sorts of other issues. Now, because it's not shimmery enough for me, I'm going to put a bit of a Stilo Glitter and Glow, so I'm going to use the Wanderlust just on the inner part of the eyelid, just to give it a bit more oomph. And we now have glitter everywhere. Well done. So the glitter's up a bit higher than I intended it to go. Never mind. I'll do the other eye. I love these. They're the most beautiful shadows. I do find the smaller minis tend to dry up a bit, and I don't know if that's just me because I'm leaving them in a bad place or some other reason, but yeah. I'm going to take some of my, again, been watching Chatty too much, just Tarte Clean Slate, the smoothless primer thingy that fills in lines and stuff, and just pop it. Less worried about pores, more worried about lines. But I am going to pop it in those areas that get pory. Is pory a word? I don't think it is. Yay, now I have pink cheeks. Right, so now we get to foundation. At the moment, my favourite is, where's the focus? The Cosmetics CC cream. I have really dry skin. I have skin that, well, I mean, you can see it isn't actually that bad. So putting on a heavy foundation tends to make it look worse than it actually is rather than better. So I do often not wear foundation at all. So I'm just going to put one pump on my hand, it's actually about half a pump, and spread that a little bit all over my face. I'm using the monitor so everything is backwards. And I've got a brush, it's a synthetic brush from a makeup company in Australia called Makeup Net. And for some reason I just really like it for foundation. I don't know why. Alright, so I'm just going to blend that out. So yeah, so art is not my thing. I'm not artistic. I can draw stick figures, that's about it. And I can sing. So I did think about singing through a makeup tutorial. Not sure how it would work, but I think it could be funny. I find with this product, if you accidentally put too much on, it's a pain in the neck, like a real pain in the neck. Got my ear, got my neck, got hair all over me. Keep meaning to get one of the Artis Oval 7 brushes from Beautylish, but I haven't placed an order. And you can hear my check creaking. Right, okay, well I'm sort of happy with that. Doesn't look as perfect as it always does when YouTubers do it, but alright, so this is the Makeup Revolution Concealer Stick, matte base concealer. Actually use a really dark colour, so I use C14. And I use a dark colour because I am always doing makeup for camera, not for being out in public. So I actually like the really stark lines. So I'm just going to go down here, and follow the line of my jaw. And a little bit up the top, and some spotties on my nose. And then I'm going to blend that in, and firstly I'm just going to use, what is it? It's the Luxe paintbrush from Zoeva, but I'm not sure what number it is. And I'm just going to blend that in. Now I don't mind a stark line because, as I say, it's for camera. And because I'm a singer, I guess I'm used to heavier stage makeup anyway. So to me, because I don't wear makeup out of the house, I think perhaps I have a slightly different view on it. But I actually find this concealer blends in really well as a contour. Just need to pull my hair back and blend it under my jaw. So as you can see, the line is quite strong. Blend it out a little bit, but I'm not that worried about it because you don't sort of see it. And the nose. And the other side. I never used to contour my nose, and that's because it's crooked. And I think I still stuff it up most of the time. But I've gotten to the habit of doing it and trying to make it straight. Look, one day I'm going to have a straight nose and everybody's going to be shocked. Now, in terms of concealer, it's probably not a big surprise to see that I'm still using IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. So what I tend to do is put a little bit on the back of my hand. And a little bit goes a really, really, really long way. It's a good product. So, and grab just a flat foundation brush. It's a brush I bought about 10 years ago. It's just an Estee Lauder foundation brush. So once it's warmed up a bit, I just put a bit on the brush and look down and be horrified at all the cracks in my eyes, and just pop a little bit to the side, sweep it up, clean up my eyeshadow a little bit. And once it's on there, I'll grab a Zoeva Colour Love Makeup Define Buffer 103 and just blend that out. I don't use this to put it on because it doesn't tend to give me as good a coverage. Now I do realise that is stark white and it is the wrong colour. It will settle down with a bit of powder, and next time I won't buy such a fair colour. It does look worse on camera than it does in person. And obviously we're going to bronze over that area anyway. And the other eye. I do sometimes do my lower lash line before I do this, just to minimise the area that I'm having to put concealer on. That wasn't very neat at all. So yeah, so my Facebook page is literally just songs that I've either worked on over the years, or that I've literally just sight read onto film, which seems to be surprisingly popular actually. But I did it because about 10 years ago I got sick. I started to develop symptoms that were a little bit weird, as is the way that I just did that, and a little bit surprising. So neurological symptoms, basically. I was unstable. I went blind for a little while, so for about, it's only about 4 hours, but it wasn't like a migraine blind. I went blind, so it was sort of a bit scary. And it happened the day after a performance, so it was after the last performance I actually ever did live. And so it was a bit of a shock. I didn't know what was going on. They sent me to Melbourne, I'm in Australia, to get a CT scan and have a look at it and just see, did we actually know what was going on at all? And we didn't. But what had happened, what was really obvious that had happened, is that my strength had decreased. I was having problems breathing, and breathing and singing go together. So I went from being able to perform and looking at sort of, at the time I'd been asked to do 10 Days on the Island. We were going to do a show that basically featured an operatic soprano, etc., on King Island, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't breathe. So I actually had 2 years off work. So I'm a pharmacist, and I couldn't wear clothes. I couldn't do up my bra strap. All sorts of things. So not being able to perform live was devastating. My best friend is an opera singer in Germany. My other closest friend is doing musical direction for massive shows that are touring worldwide. And all of my other friends are working in opera companies in Australia or doing really cool things, and I felt awful and really left behind, because I got to 23 years old and my voice became really inconsistent. I got to 29 and this happened, and I couldn't work out what was actually going on. So I'd been starting to crash for the past 2 years. That's how I ended up on King Island in the first place, because I was just going to smooth this out. Struggling to cope at work because I was doing 14-hour days. Now I'm just going to set this with a bit of my Hourglass powders. I'm going to use the paler one and just a bit of dim light mixed in with it. So what have we got? Diffused light and dim light, and the two together work really well. As you can see, I'm not a fan of anything that's going to dry out my skin, so I do have the Hourglass Veil powder that I'll use a lot, but I would prefer to just do it this way. Now I've hit pan, running out. I am going to get the new one, assuming I don't miss out. So yeah, scraping the bottom a little bit. So yeah, so they sent me to Melbourne for this CT scan. Didn't show anything at the time. Since then an MRI has shown lesions in some areas of the brain. But we weren't looking for lesions, we were looking for tumours at the time, because it was such a distinct and very, very sudden change in personality, sudden change in the way that I was approaching things. And I'm just going to set the rest of my face with, and again I've hit pan, another Hourglass Ambient Powder, Luminous Light. But yeah, so it was an interesting time, and to be honest, it was scary. fact that my chair is squeaking is driving me nuts. Now I know that these are not usually used as setting powders. Alright, so my camera died. So I went ahead and put on some liner and lashes. I am really bad at lashes. There is glue everywhere. I used one of the Estee Lauder mascaras, and I can't think which one, and the Hourglass Caution on my lower lashes. So I need a couple more things to do, so I'm going to go back to my Mellow Cosmetics palette and grab a big fluffy brush and dip it into the bronzer there, which is there. Tap it off and just bronze up my face a little bit and into the hairline, because otherwise it ends up being really stark. So yeah, so I ended up, one of my friends at work said one day he heard a recording, because I was busy playing people recordings from years ago and saying, oh, I used to be able to do this. And he said, well, why don't you record and publish? And I just went, what? It had never occurred to me, so I created a Facebook page, and it was surprisingly popular. So I'm still doing that. But I thought I would just play with these things a little bit. Bit too much bronzer, and down my neck. Alright, now we're going to put on a little bit of blush, just using, I don't know, a makeup net brush. Just on the top of my cheeks, not much. She says going back in. I don't know, I kind of like this colour. The lipstick I want to wear is bright pink too, so it's not as horrendous as it seems. And just buff in the blush with the other side of the brush, because otherwise it ends up looking strange. And on top of that, I'm going to take the lighter highlight star, that one, with the same brush because I'm lazy, and just run it across the top of the cheekbones. And what I didn't actually do is finish off my eyes, so I might do that now. I'm just going to put a bit of the highlighter just up the top here and here, and a bit in the inner corners, and I'm just going to run the brown along my lower lash line. Okay, so the eyes are done. I'm not sure I'm that happy with them, but never mind. It's alright, as long as you ignore the bad application of lashes. Alright, so this is Mellow Cosmetics yet again. I do have an affiliate link with Mellow, which I've popped down below. This is Passion, and it's very, very, very pink, which is why I wanted a sort of more neutral tone eye, and why I've gone a little bit ham on the blush. So just going to pop that on. I have worn this before. It is a very smooth application and does stay on for a while, and it's quite creamy. Putting lipstick on is not my forte. It's not actually as bright pink in person as it looks on camera. It's a beautiful colour if you like pale pink. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of the Fenty gloss just in the centre. And there we have it, finished look. What do we think? Alright, so I forgot to film an outro. So I hope that you like this. It's not a tutorial, it's just a mucking about with makeup video. I have added a little bit of brown eyeshadow to my eyes. I've put a little bit of black liner in the waterline as well. I just felt that my eyes weren't dramatic enough. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.